I'm sure you know by now, but it seems like there's going to be another Pokemon remaster or remake heading our way till 2028 or something. Now, honestly, this is pretty fantastic. If you looked at the trend of games, it seems like Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2 might be next on the remaster list. Now, honestly, this is really fantastic. And judging off the leaks, the rumors, the information that we know so far, this might actually be a really fantastic game. Previously, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl kind of disappointed on that front. But before that, we had such great remasters. So in this video, we'll be discussing everything. Let's get straight into it. So like I was saying, the previous remasters that we got for Pokemon was honestly awesome, with Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver arguably one of the greatest remasters of all time. Then you can look at it with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which honestly was pretty cool as well, reimagining Hoenn in a new light. And we can also say Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, so arguably really fantastic remasters and remakes. And also Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Honestly, I really did enjoy those games. But then when we talk about Unova, this is something that's going to have to take a whole new turn. And there's been a lot of fan rumors and leaks that potentially could lead into the greatest remaster ever. So if we take a look at this right here, potentially Pokemon Black and White could actually be an HD 2D remaster. Now this would honestly be blown out of the water because HD 2D is not only modern but also gives you some of that retro vibe, which honestly is fantastic for a game. You want to have some modern aspects that really make the game feel great, like it belongs in that dedicated year, but also gives fans of the original a chance to see it in a retro format. So honestly, if Pokemon was going to do this, I think this would hit numbers of sales. This would do absolutely amazing for them. If you look at it, Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver did something kind of similar. Of course, it was still technically for that time where it was retro, but it reimagined the game in such a beautiful way. If you looked at the original Gold and Silver and Crystal, you'll realize that that game wasn't the prettiest to look at. But then if you looked at Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it really took that to a whole new way. Now, if we look at it, we're probably going to be getting this in about 2028. So with the technology evolving, we could probably see something really cool. So enough with the visuals. What about the gameplay and the gimmicks and everything that's going to be added? Well, first off, if we take a look at it, we could probably see both of the games sort of mixed together. Because essentially, if they're going to remaster Gen 5, this would essentially be Gen 5 pushed together and calling it a day. So you would probably see both of the games mixed together. Now, honestly, I would love that so much. How you could probably do it is you can maybe pick which region you want to start at. Do you want to start at the Black and White sort of segment of that region, or do you want to start at the Black and White 2 segment of the region? You would have all 16 gyms that Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver had, and it would be honestly really cool. So this would bring back that beautiful 16 gym, and you can pick where you wanted to go. So honestly, that'd be fantastic. Unless they lock you to one specific location where all the Pokemon there are like level 5, but then they change the level for some of them, so then you beat the one champion and essentially you go to the next. So that would be Black and White 2. You end up in that new region. Maybe you can pick if you want to restart your journey or if you want to just carry on with the Pokemon and the skills that you've gathered. Honestly, that would be an amazing factor when you look at it. I do enjoy Black and White and Black and White 2. The fact that it had so many cool additions, like honestly, on the 3DS you had the Dream Radar, which maybe they can do like sort of a big reference that references the Dream Radar. Because if you look at it, the Dream Radar was so cool. You were able to get Pokemon that were legendary Pokemon, by the way, that were under your name and were level 5. So you were able to control a legendary Pokemon that was level 5 in the base game. I believe it was maybe an hour after you can go to like the research center and then you can get that Pokemon from Pokemon Dream Radar and then it would be yours. Like you can have Lugia, you can have I think the legendary birds, you can have the legendary dogs. Honestly, it was fantastic. So if we see something like that, it would honestly make Pokemon Black and White come back and shine once again. 2028 would be a masterpiece year if we actually get something like this. Now, what else could we add? Well, first off, I would love to see like an actual battle sort of stadium once again. Kind of like the original battle stadium, but this time around you can actually go connect to the internet and it would be like a more seamless experience. So kind of how we have Pokemon Champion, but more like in the black and white sort of formula. It would honestly be really awesome. And of course, since you're connecting two games together, you would have everything from both regions, so you should be able to connect the Pokedex together. Because honestly, it wouldn't make too much sense to me if they don't sell like these two regions together. So if you only do Black and White and then a couple of years later you remaster Black and White 2, honestly, you might be missing out on an opportunity that could only be given for this. Now, of course, there would be two separate games. Of course, the first game would be Premium White and Ultra Black, or whatever the case may be. They could probably figure out something for these games. And then boom, all of a sudden you got an absolutely amazing game. So you get any Pokemon that you want. You have the fusion mechanic. You have the legendary Pokemon from that region. Now, of course, depending on how you do it, maybe you only unlock sort of fusion mechanic later on in the game, like after you get to the Black and White 2 sort of area. But overall, I definitely think that it would be so great to see these games return. I can't wait, because honestly, we could probably also have Pokemon following it. Because that was a massive deal in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and still to this day, having your Pokemon show inside of that pixelated, beautiful vibe, it is very, very awesome. It's just like, it feels great. You feel an attachment, a connection to your party, to your team that's been following you along throughout this entire journey. You probably also see some new battle animations, like that would just be great. Because honestly, one of the big things that I did enjoy about Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl was honestly the battle animations. They had some pretty cool animations, so maybe we can add something like that. So yeah, we can probably see Pokemon Black and White 2 and Black and White getting a reimagined sort of set. It would honestly be really awesome, and it would take everything that we love from those regions and making it more modern once again. Because essentially that's the point of a whole remaster, a remake, a remaster, whatever the case may be. You pretty much want to take the base game, the game that everybody loved, the game that everyone grew up with. Maybe you did grow up with that, or you didn't, but whatever the case may be, you want to take the original bare bones and you want to put it into a modern sort of format. Adding more modern, like honestly, you can add XP share. So if you want to, you can have a whole team-wide XP share if you wanted to, or you could go back to the original. They shouldn't take away gimmicks that were in the original games. Like if you want to have a hardcore adventure, well then you should be allowed to have your hardcore adventure. It should be your way to play and your adventure. But overall, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2 Remaster is going to be really interesting? Or do you think not so much? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Consider the like button, maybe subscribing if you're new. We do a bunch of different Nintendo content on this channel. So if you like that, hey, consider hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. We're almost at 4,000 subscribers, unless we already are. Anyways, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Anyways, thank you so much. See you in the next one.